Ooh. Hello.
Good afternoon.
What's
Almost say
shaking,
good
good people?
morning.
What is shaking, good people? Hope all is well. Excuse me. And this fine Monday afternoon, we're back to it being cold again.
Yeah, what happened?
It's still March. That's why I'm like people are like surprised. It's cold. Well, it's still March.
But I
Like,
hope we were closer to like the spring side of things.
it's March.
Because
It's
those 2 days last week were awfully nice.
yeah, they were. But I mean, I think the past couple years, March has been kind of mild. When
Mm,
before I remember, March was always cold, and April
yeah.
was when everything started warming up.
hmm
But it is what it is. We're here, so y'all come on and come through. And I got a pretty good topic to talk about. It just
Okay.
hit me.
Uh-oh.
Why are you saying like that? We're doing good.
I'm
How are you?
just waiting to see what it's going to be.
No, it's not. It's not bad. It's not bad. Uh, so you guys share. Come on in. Get your questions in. Our crew that joins us every Monday at 1 o'clock. Uh, come on in. Come on in. So as we're getting ready, as people are coming on, don't forget recap today at 5:30. And what else we got this week?
So at 7 today, we're doing a rebroadcast of yesterday's service. Tuesday, we had the Link Couples Ministry. Pastor Dick did another message for us. Wednesday, of course, we have Word Impact at 7. And then Thursday, the Small Business Panel, the BPA Ministry is back to talk about business. And I believe they're talking about finances this month. Thursday. Friday, we are doing our trivia game night. So comedian Chris Clark is back. We're going to have a good time. The theme, I'll give you guys a sneak peek. The theme for this game night is Easter. So that's a heads up. Grab your Bibles because all the trivia questions are going to be based on the Easter holiday.
So you won't do well on it?
I will do great on it, but I'm coming up with the questions, so I can't
It's easy
necessarily
for
play.
you. Yeah.
How about you? You gonna play?
No. I got meetings and stuff this Friday.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I do. No, seriously, I got meetings this Friday. Friday nights are my meeting nights, and then family night and movie night and all that good stuff.
Gotcha. So yeah, no, we're gonna have a good time. And the Saturday starts with On Point, engaging worship at 9 or 6 rather p.m. and then a full day of service on Sunday. So busy week, but a fun week.
Yeah, it's always a busy week. It's like because what I want to talk about today is how we manage stress. And hey, Sid, how we manage stress and what stress can do to your body and to your emotions. It's funny, just kind of to get this thing started really. This pandemic, all this creativity and doing all this stuff, can be stressful. Coming up with new stuff and doing all these different things and it still feels like it's out of our norm.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's like this. I'm talking myself into it. If it was permanent and it's what we always did, it'd be easier rather than, okay, this is only somewhat temporary until we go back to normal. So like the schedule we have is not our normal schedule if we were open.
Right.
So you always had that thing lingering over your head that this is temporary, which can add another weight to you. Because part of it is like, I can't wait to get back to.
Because you're going to have to adjust again too.
You got to adjust again, so you're not that comfortable. You can't get that comfortable because eventually it's going to change.
Yeah.
And but at the same time, I love it because it's producing so much creativity. So you can have a love-hate relationship with the thing that I hate to use the word love-hate. You can have a drive for it, but also you can have a drive for it, but at the same time, I don't want to use the word overwhelmed because it's not overwhelming, but it can feel like a task at times too.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. That makes sense. Like
Yeah.
I know it was a lot, but
No, definitely. And I think a pressure to like perform because you want to like consistently, be putting out good content and doing a good job at things. And so it feels like for this pandemic, there's no end in sight. So you don't know like how far you need to go, if that makes sense.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think,
You need something to work to, yeah.
yeah, stress. What is DST? Oh, daylight savings time. Yeah, losing that hour. It's funny, losing that hour of sleep is so weird. I don't get it. I
I
overslept
did
this
good
morning.
this year.
I overslept this morning.
I've been going to bed earlier, so to make
Not
up for
me.
it.
But it's hard though, because like if I'm up at like if I'm used to going to bed by a certain time, my body clock is like still like I'm not tired yet because I'm used to going to bed. And lo and behold, it's like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. You're still like
Mhm.
not that late, but you get what I'm saying. Because your body
Uh-huh.
clock is like, yo, you're like, go to sleep, but your body's like, no, we're still an hour behind. I'm not ready yet. Who's a Facebook user?
That's Kife.
Oh, okay. So but I think stress produces creativity if you allow it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Definitely.
hey Dana, stress produces creativity if you allow it. But also let's talk about some different ways of how we manage stress. Because stress is a monster and stress can hurt you if you're not careful. Um, it can mess with your body. It can cause sickness, and your health. Some health issues are due to stress.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Um, hey Ava, what's up, Adrian? How you doing? Hey Regina. Hey Amber, how you doing?
I guess.
Hey Darlene. Stress, if not managed well, can cause issues like gastro issues too. Um, all these different things because stress is when your body starts to really start attacking itself.
Mm-hmm.
Can lead to mental problems, cardiovascular issues, obesity. You know what's crazy? You can eat right, but when you're stressed out, you may not lose weight because your body is responding the opposite way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some people
Yeah.
stress, some people stress eat. Some people don't eat at all when they're stressed. So let's talk about that today. How well do we manage our stress? Woo. Why are you looking like that?
I am not a good stress reactor.
You're not.
I'm somewhere between stress eating and not eating at all. So
Oh, you go to the extremes.
yeah.
But I think let's first acknowledging your stress is one of the first things I think we gotta address.
Mm-hmm.
You know, acknowledging that the stress is there and acknowledging what's making us stressful. I don't think we do the work to do that. Don't gas her up, Mark, Darlene. I don't think
Leave Maya alone. Thank you, Darlene.
I don't think we do the work. I don't think we do the work to figure out why we're responding stressful to this circumstance. And I've learned oftentimes stress is a result of anxiety and fear.
Mm.
It's the fear of the unknown outcome or the fear of an outcome you think is going to happen. And worry can lead to anxiety, and anxiety and stress go together. And I'm not sure if we link where our stressors are coming from and why we're stressing out about this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, be honest. I just want this to be over, or whatever. At least, but you gotta identify it first. And
Yeah.
and I don't think you can grow until you identify the trigger of your stress.
How do you do that? I'm just trying to think, like, how do you start to narrow down where your stress is if it feels like it's just so many different things at one time?
Well, I think that a lot of what stresses us out comes from I'll call our primal fears. Really, it comes from our primal fears. So it usually goes back to when did the stress come? That's one way. When did it come? When did it start? And what produced, what event happened, or what fear happened, or what thought happened that produces level of stress? Like, for instance, people say, I can't take this, it's too much.
Mm.
Where did that belief system come from? Why do you feel that way? You got to ask yourself questions.
Mm-hmm.
And when you ask yourself questions, you ask God to help lead you to the answer, it'll lead you to the answer. But it didn't come out of nowhere. Something's fueling that belief.
Yeah.
So like if you're always on edge waiting for something to happen, always on edge waiting for the floor to fall out, you know, that right there can be the cause of it. And then like Amber said, you know, we store it in our body, in our hearts, we grind our teeth, you know, you do things like that to kind of relieve yourself of the stress, but you're still not dealing with why you're stressful in the first place. And some people like Ava, they go to sleep when they're stressed out. You know, I'm tired. Let me go to sleep is an escape.
Yeah.
But I think we all need to make sure we're careful that we don't turn to non-beneficial things when we're stressed out.
Yeah. I think we have to think of a way to refocus it into something that's going to help us in the long run.
Yeah, because when you're stressed, you don't want no salad.
You sure don't.
You don't. You don't want no salad. You want some
Give me
comfort
all the
food.
peeps. Give
Right.
me all the candy corn.
That's your
all
thing when you're
that.
stressful? Jesus. No. Most people, it's like burgers and like substance stuff, like comfort food. Burgers, French fries, mac and cheese, you know, comfort food, heavy stuff.
Good. Yeah.
You go right for the candy corn. And
I like candy.
But I think it starts with asking yourself questions, confronting yourself. You have to be a good self-talker.
Mm-hmm. And
self-awareness means a lot when you're stressing, because you'll go into that fight or flight mode. You either deal with it or you run away from it. I don't want to ask how many of y'all. I wonder if we ask everybody, what's your response? Do you fight or do you run away from it? I don't know. I don't want to expose nobody.
That's a good question, though.
Yeah, I mean, because literally, you either deal with it or you run away from it, and you run away from it in subtle ways. You can start eating. You don't eat. You go watch TV all day. You go to sleep. Mm-hmm. You find ways not to deal with it, even though they're subtle.
Right.
But eventually, I've learned this. You can rebuke the devil. You can get away from people, but you cannot get away from yourself.
Right.
You want to deal with it eventually. Mm-hmm.
You say that that stressor will still be there until you address it.
Yeah, because your heart rate increases, your breathing gets shorter, you tighten up, muscular, your blood pressure goes up when you're stressed out. You know, your body is okay with little stress, but when it starts to become overwhelming, it really gets the best of you. Mm-hmm. Your emotions are off. Your ability to think isn't there. Your immune system starts to become compromised. Easily agitated. Easily frustrated. Moods up and down. Mm-hmm. Y'all ain't talking. Y'all ain't talking to me now. Having difficulty relaxing, quieting your mind. You know, you could be so stressed out or bogged down by something that you don't want to sit down and quiet. You're afraid of quiet because you don't want to think.
Wow.
So you have the music on all the time, the TV on all the time, so you won't have to think about stuff. Or for some people, you work all the time. Because if you're working all the time, you got to deal with it.
Just to get away with it. Why do we do that? Why do we run away from our problems as opposed to taking them head on? Fear?
Fear, yes. And sometimes you just don't want to deal with it. You're afraid of dealing with it. You're afraid of going through. You're afraid of acknowledging and feeling what you really don't want to feel. Like some people, with that old phrase, they laugh to keep from crying. Some people, when they're stressed, they tell a lot of jokes. That's why you meet so many comedians. They're depressed in their private life. Mm-hmm. because their jokes are a way of compensating and dealing with their stressors. So they crack jokes in the most inopportune times because they don't want to deal with it. So they got to find
Yeah.
something to laugh at.
So Dana says women must be real careful when it comes to stress because our indicators are not the same as men. We could think we're having a toothache or a pain in our jaw, and it could really be heart issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. It's true. And I think you have to pay attention to your triggers. Like, and Aisha said it too, that the pandemic made people face their emotional problems,
Mm-hmm.
their anxiety, their stresses, because this is a very stressful season. And, you know, you have to reach a place where you can deal with, you know, your stressors and your emotional health. This season if you have mental struggles, and I'm saying in the, you know, not trying to say it in a crazy way, but it made everybody deal with it.
Yeah.
You know, because what are you gonna do? And what happens when it smacks you right in your face and you got to deal with it?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm a proponent of counseling and therapy and all that good stuff to help you. So stress is emotional. It's low self-esteem, depression, avoiding people. Uh, you got physical symptoms of like low energy, headaches, stress. Headaches can be a result of stress.
Mm-hmm.
Aches and pains in your body, your chest hurting, insomnia. You get sick easier, colds and all those things. Clenching your jaw and all that. All those things come to it. Your ability to make decisions aren't there like it used to be. You find yourself procrastinating. You know, you got a short fuse with people and all that stuff. So stress is a holistic thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a holistic thing, and
It's very interesting.
it affects everything about you.
Yeah. It's interesting the body's responses. Like the body knows more before we do.
Mhm. Yeah. Your body's trying to send you a message. Something's not right here.
Mm-hmm.
You better fix this. You know, um, you got to fix it. And here's the thing: to me, it's okay to admit, yo, I'm stressed right now. I need help.
Mm-hmm.
It's not gonna kill you. It's not gonna hurt you. You know, nobody's Superwoman or Superman.
Yeah.
Even though I know you love Superman so much, you know we're, you know, but
But
you're good.
I feel like there's such a negative connotation towards people, asking for help, or men asking for help. You don't want to appear weak or, emotional.
Well, that I think that comes down to trust too.
Mm,
It really is. It comes down to trust. Because when you trust somebody, you're willing to expose yourself to them to get the help that you need. And to know that getting help is not a sign of weakness. Getting help is a sign of strength, actually.
hmm
To me, it takes strength to ask for help.
Yeah.
You got to be strong enough to do it. Uh, so headaches, muscle tension, fatigue, feeling overwhelmed. Uh, you know, some people they like to exercise when they're stressed to help kind of get those endorphins going to kind of break that stress and anxiety and all that.
hmm
Uh, that's there too. And as Christians, we got the Word of God, we got prayer. All that stuff was assumed. Um, you know, but God does. He's not against you praying, reading your Bible, working out to kind of help. You know,
Yeah.
manage yourself.
So someone just put in the comments that they sent out a text to a couple of friends and family asking for help, and they only received one call back.
Yeah, and
Crazy.
yeah, it is. And some it's disappointing to know that some people either A, don't care enough, or B, watch this, they don't know what to do, so they don't respond.
Right. And then that's what I was going to say. Like,
Yeah.
how do you respond? Especially someone's coming to you and is saying they might be suicidal or whatnot. Like, that's a lot to handle. Like, how do you respond in those type of situations?
Well, in the
outside of
suicidal,
like the cliche stuff. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Well, to me, a suicidal thing. That's when you get in touch with crisis and all that stuff like that.
Hmm.
Because when somebody comes to you suicidal, that's when you really got to get help, help, help.
Right.
You know, not just I'm gonna pray for you. We got to go talk to somebody now.
Hmm.
You know, that stuff is important. But the other thing too is look at it like this: you reach out to 7 people, only 2 respond. You're disappointed in those 5, but be grateful for the 2. Be grateful for the 2, and if you're grateful for the 2, it'll help you manage disappointment of others. When people show you who they are, it's disappointing and a good thing at the same time. It's sad because they showed you. It's good because now you know where to slot them. Now you know where to slot them.
Hmm.
But do you know? And I'm please, I'm trying not to be mean here when I say this. Stress, depression, and anxiety is often tied to intelligence.
Okay, explain more.
It's often tied to intelligence. Intelligent people think a lot. And one of our greatest weapons is our ability to think.
Hmm.
But we kind of talked about this on Sunday. And one of our worst weapons is the ability to think.
Yeah.
And you'll notice a lot of people that have a high IQ struggle with emotional pitfalls, either anxiety, depression, stress, real deep, dark moods. Because now I'm not talking about clinical depression and clinical anxiety. I'm not where somebody needs like medication and therapy. I'm talking about just like regular, occasional bouts of it.
Hmm.
But a lot of highly intelligent people, because they're thinkers struggle with emotional stuff because you're processing it.
Right.
You're thinking through it. And the more you think through it, the more sad, the more depressed, uh, talk to a lot of the people that are some of these smartest people. And I guarantee you they have an underlying, proclivity to
Hmm.
sadness, depression, or some form of anxiety.
Wow.
The person that's not thinking, like, how can I say this? I'm trying to be so nice when I say this. I was watching the episode
Well,
of House.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was watching the episode of House, right? This highly intelligent guy started doing something to dumb down his thoughts, like some kind of crazy formula or whatever. And, he looked at, but he did it because he was highly intelligent, but he was so sad all the time. And he married this woman, and he said, she brings me so much joy. He said, because she's just so dumb. She doesn't care about anything. And I'm trying to be nice, but that's the only example I can give is that
Hmm.
there is a link between high intelligence and high emotional stuff.
Hmm.
There is a link between it. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, so that makes sense. So there's this thing about like adults and kids. Like there's an innocence to them not knowing things. They're able to go throughout life and enjoy it more as opposed to adults. We know more. We know more of life, so it weighs us down more too.
Exactly. You look at kids, ask a 5, 6, 7-year-old about this pandemic. I gotta wear my
Hmm.
mask so I don't get sick. And then they go act like ain't nothing going on.
Hmm.
They're not worried about bills. They're not worried about hospital stuff. They ain't worried about none of that stuff.
Yeah.
In a sense, there's some notes I had on this last year. I taught about this. Where there's innocence, there isn't a lot of stress. They're like having a good time. You're like, oh,
Hmm.
we got no money. They're like, oh, what's for dinner?
Yeah.
When you become adult and you start seeing all the reality of everything, it changes stuff for you.
Hmm.
So there is a link between that.
Yeah.
Uh, and carrying other people's stress too. Good.
I was going to touch on that too, because even just thinking as a family member or a friend who constantly has someone coming to you for help, of course you want to help them, but at what point do you take it until it becomes too overwhelming for yourself?
Boundaries. I'm not available right now.
Mm-hmm.
You'll start to learn the difference between people that want help and people that just want attention.
Mm.
And over time, you'll notice some people just want attention. They want to preoccupy it 2 hours of your day just so they can talk to you about something that they never plan on and they never intend on changing.
Yeah.
So it's okay to set boundaries, you know, and put up those walls of I'm available at this time, but I'm not available this time. All right, I gotta go.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have every right to have a measure of boundaries on your life, you know, and know that the scripture says it like this. Here it is. In Galatians 5, Paul says, bear your own burdens and bear other burdens and other people's burdens. In the Greek, it means you are responsible for your burdens.
Mm-hmm.
When he talks about carrying someone else's burdens, he uses a phrase of helping somebody else with their burden, not carrying their burden.
Yeah.
There's a difference. So if you have something going on in your life, I'm supposed to help you carry it. I don't carry it myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like the man helped Jesus carry the cross up. He didn't take the cross, he helped him carry it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm responsible for my burdens.
Right.
I'm responsible to help you with yours, not to carry yours. I'm not your 100% responsibility. Because if you try to be, that means you're trying to be my savior.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it would be unfair for me to put all my trouble on you. You're not responsible for that.
Right.
So stop taking responsibility for everybody else's stress. I come to help you with them, but I can't carry yours and carry all of mine at the same time.
Yeah.
You love them, but you're there to help them. And I'm sorry if I'm ranting here. You got to know the difference between, well, I know you don't care. You got to know the difference between enabling the person and supporting the person.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we enable them because we carry more than we should for them. So we make them more irresponsible.
Right.
By doing for them, which they should be doing for themselves.
Mm-hmm. And I think Bishop's been kind of talking about this too. Like the struggle is to help make us stronger. And we have to go through it in order to prepare for our victory. He said something along those lines on Sunday. So like, if I enabling you, taking all that struggle and all that load, you're not learning from it. I can be here to help you, but you have to go through this too.
Yeah. One of the greatest gifts our parents can never give us is assisting us
mm-hmm.
while we're in trouble, not
mm-hmm.
taking all the trouble away.
Mm-hmm.
You see so many grown people can't handle any stress because their parents did all the stress for them. Rather than, I'm going to let you experience some of this stuff on your own. I'll be here to help you, but I'm not going to do it all for you.
Mm-hmm.
So we are called to help people. We're not called to carry everything about them.
Right. That's how you learn.
Yeah. Do I think people who keep stress buried instead of deal with it is worse than those who wear it on their sleeve? Or is this another style better than the other? What you think? I think burying it, I think both are bad. Burying it is bad because eventually it's going to lead to an explosion.
Mm-hmm.
Wearing it on your sleeve is going to cause people not to want to be around you no more, and you'll mess up a whole bunch of opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
So both are equally bad, because just because you wear it on your sleeve doesn't mean you're dealing with it. All you're doing is just taking it out on everybody else.
All right.
And remember that people are not responsible for our stress. So just because we're stressed out doesn't mean we got to take it out on them, especially when they're not the source of the stress.
Right.
It's not their fault you're stressed out. Why make them pay for it? Man, any more questions? This is an interesting conversation.
So Belva says, when do you know to help someone?
I mean, I think you make an assessment and see what you can do to help the person, and do what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and also it depends on the person too. Like I said, there are some folk that genuinely need help, and some folk here it is. Like, Maya, have you ever had somebody talk to you about the same problem over and over, and you keep giving them advice and like, well, it's just like I said before. It's just like I said before. And they just don't want to listen. After a while, that person is proven to you. They're not talking to you to listen.
Yeah.
And eventually you got to put up some form of distance or something, you know?
Yeah. No, because it, like you said earlier, that starts to take on your stress. You start to take on that stress to the point that you're worrying about it. And you're like, wait a minute, this really isn't my issue.
Yeah. No, we're not ignoring it. I'm asking you a question. I'm answering
We
your
just
question.
answered some questions.
Just answer your question. We got a bunch of questions. So, but I think that you got to know the person and know when I just can't help this person anymore, or I can't help them the way they want help. I remember I had to say that to somebody one time. They kept coming and coming and coming for help, and I had to ask the question: do you really want help? Yeah, I do. I was like, no, you don't want help. First off, you're not doing any recommendations that I'm giving you. You keep talking about the same thing over and over again. You're just not strong enough to admit, I'm paraphrasing, of course. You're just not strong enough to admit you really don't want help. You just want attention and somebody to talk to you about it. That's what you want. And, it just is what it is.
I think sometimes, too, people want validation in the sense that they don't want to change things necessarily, but almost as if it's okay that they're in that situation.
Explain this more.
So I'm just thinking about, like, I had a friend who was in an abusive relationship. And, of course, I love my friend. Like, I'm telling her, you need to keep yourself safe, get out, all the things that we would tell someone that we love, but they never took action on it. And, of course, I know there's a whole bunch of different things that come into play there. But it was always like, oh, he's not good to me, but I love him, and that sort of thing. So it almost felt like they wanted me to see their side of things as to why they're not leaving.
Yeah. When it comes to like a DV case, that's a little more complex. I was listening to somebody do a training on domestic violence, and they were saying that usually when the person is like committed to staying and no matter, they're not listening to any advice, it's basically because they're not in a position where here it is, what the reward they're getting from the relationship is still higher than the pain that the person's bringing. And once the pain starts to override the reward, because they're getting something from the relationship, that's why they're staying. Even if it's a psychological thing where, they feel like some feel like they're trapped in it and they can't go anywhere. Some feel like I'm getting something from it. We had to do a whole DV training on this stuff years ago. And they say usually at a certain point, that's when they're finally ready to listen. When eventually the pain of the relationship becomes so great. So, that's a whole different complex thing because you got to be able to talk to them. And some people, the more you talk to them, the more defiant they are.
Right.
As soon as you say you need to leave, they get real buried in. And you got to know when to say something, when not to say something. But it's hard when it's somebody you love. It's not easy. Not easy at all. Ms. Price, so how do you apply those well-set principles at work when it's a team and you're pulling the weight? Well, that's the hard part about being on a team. That's why I always hated school projects. Because the person that barely did anything got an A2 with everybody else.
I might be guilty of that.
You did that?
See, what happened was...
I might have done it too, so I can't sit there and lie. But
I know when to pick my battles. Like engineering.
I
was engineering. I was always a team player, but I was an engineering student once. And calculus is not my forte, so we had a project that was heavy on the calculus. So I just let them do that part.
But they were okay with it though.
Yeah, they're fine. I was the support.
I mean, you told them ahead of time, like, I'm not good at this, so y'all got it.
Oh no, they knew at that point.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But some people they act like I'm gonna help, and then never help.
Yeah.
They lie about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you do your best to honor God on your job.
Mm-hmm.
And there are ways where your boss will be able to see that you're doing good work. Um, you'd be surprised who's paying attention
Mm-hmm.
when you don't think they are. And you got some people saying they are scared to share stuff because they don't want to burden other people. Again, it's the right. You got to talk to the right people.
Yeah.
You don't need 2, 3, 4 people to talk to, even if it's one person that's blessed. You know, where's some of the stuff I saw?
Thanks, Ada. So when I asked the question, if you could expand more on the difference between enabling and supporting a person
Sure.
that has a mental illness.
Yeah. Oh, now that's a mental illness. That's a little bit harder because
Mm-hmm.
it's hard. It depends on what it is. It's hard being. It's hard when the person that has the mental illness is grown, and there's but so much you can do. If they're not taking their medication, if they're not, doing what's right, it's extremely, extremely, extremely difficult. And we've kind of talked to some families about that, where some people were struggling with some what's the word I'm looking for? Schizophrenia and stuff like that. That's very hard because the instability that goes along with it, and the person's
very dangerous.
is very
Yeah.
dangerous. It's different because like the state, you can't sit there and say, "Hey, this person's having a psychological issue." They're gonna be like, "Well, are they hurting anybody?" No, well, then there's nothing we can do. And it depends on the mental illness. I would say go talk to a therapist, talk to a psychologist, and give you some tips on how to deal with that person with that specific mental illness. So, but it's difficult when it's somebody older because you can't make them take medication. You can't take them go to therapy. You can't make them do those things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are some people that really, really need help, and they're looking for help. And there are some people looking for attention, and that's when you start. The more you talk to them, you start to learn the difference. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the Bible lets us know whatever we're going to talk about this on Wednesday. If we have the ability to help them, the Bible says help them. But it doesn't mean that you kind of go out of your way and hurt yourself to help somebody else out either. You know, because some folk will put you in a situation that's going to hurt you because they want to get their help. Mm-mm. Yeah, but I think what it shows us too is that some of us are jaded, and what we do is we put our bad experiences with some on everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So because I opened up to this person, they couldn't do the right thing. We just shut down on everybody. When there are people out there that can genuinely help us and genuinely care. Again, I'll say it this. If you have one person that you can talk to that can be your friend, you're doing good. 2 people is great. 3 is excellent. 4 is almost unheard of. But if you got 1, 2, or 3, you're doing good.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
It's hard, so it's difficult. And some people say, they ask the question, what happens if somebody gives up on life? The best you can do is be there for the person, pray for them, try to support them as much as you can. Because if I've given up hope, it's because all I see is nothing positive in my future. You know?
So let's touch on was said just left in the comments. You have to be careful when it comes to relationships with others. That person you think you are helping end up mad at you. So when someone becomes angry with you and you're giving everything, because you help them and you're, giving everything to be of help to them, like that can leave a nasty taste too.
Now, I always wonder why the person would get mad. If they ask for help and you're helping them, why would you get upset? That's either the person helping has overstepped their boundaries, or the person being helped ends up resenting the person helping them. Mm-hmm. So you got 2 of those things, that the helper sometimes takes liberties that they shouldn't. And then the flip side is the person that needs help is mad they can't help themselves, so they're resenting the person helping them. And if it's the latter, where the person resents your help, you have every right to take your help somewhere else.
Yeah.
And and Ava brings up a good point. I have this in my own life. There are people that are good at certain topics, and some of them are good at the other topics. So we want one person to be all things to us.
Mm-hmm.
When that's impossible. We're not all things to everybody.
Right.
So I talk to this person about this. I can talk to this person about this. I can talk to this person about this. And between those 3 or 4 or 5 people, you have all your needs met because, you can talk to each person about a different thing. But we can't be all things to all people. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Well, I think she's just bringing up a different perspective. That's all. I didn't get that at all. She's playing devil's advocate.
That's not what I'm saying at all.
Yeah, I think she's more asking questions. She's her intelligent mind is processing information. Yeah.
I think it's very important that people reach out when they need help. So, I mean, I'm not saying not to do that at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Sid, that's a whole different situation about seeing. She asked about seeing a person's spouse with somebody else, and should you say something? That's a whole different. Yeah, because sometimes if you told the person, they get mad at you. It's a whole different thing. So that's a different monster. You go get help and talk to somebody about that before you do anything. But but stress is a monster.
Mm-hmm.
And I think all of us need to find our stress. How can I say this? The results of what our stress produces. Do you eat more? Do you get late, just sit around and watch TV more and do nothing, And then another thing too is have a hobby where you get to relax your brain. God's not against you doing stuff to kind of these next 45 minutes, I'm gonna do something for me that's gonna chill up, gonna relax me some. Then I'll be back later. Again, there's boundaries there. You know one thing I learned, Maya? Everything that people call an emergency is not an emergency.
Very true.
Do I need to do it in these next 40 minutes? No. I'll be back when I got you in 45.
But that's a tricky question too, because you might ask that question, does it need to be done in the next 45 minutes? And that person might feel that it needs to, when for you it doesn't. So how do you balance that out too?
Here's the side. You can't it's like God. You can't make God help you any faster than he's ready to. And then at the same time, if I, for instance, if I know that I can get this thing done in an hour later, and you don't have to help me, I'm not entitled to your help. So I can't tell you when to come help me. People do that when they feel like they're entitled to your presence and entitled to your help. It's something I'm telling you. You ever had somebody call you frantic, or I need you to call me back now, or text you, oh my God, it's so important. And when they tell you what happened, you're like, seriously? Like, really? Seriously? I dropped everything I was doing for that. You couldn't have waited another 10 minutes. But there's boundaries there that you got to put up. So, I think that, as I say, your emergency is not an emergency on my part all the time. Now, if it's a genuine emergency, I'll drop it and come.
If I'm bleeding.
Right.
Yeah.
Like for instance, I'll use me for an example. I'm one of those people, I kind of want it when I want it. If I call, whatever. But it's not, hey, Nicole, I can't. But if I call you about something, it's never like, Maya, I need you to do this right now. Unless it's like a crazy emergency. Like, yo, YouTube went down. Can we fix it like now? versus like, yo, we need a flyer. Can you get to it when you can? I kind of need it by tomorrow. Is there any time today you can get it done? Rather than, yo, stop what you're doing. That feels like there's an entitlement there. You know what I'm saying? And I think the person needing help should respect the person that's helping.
Yeah. I feel like though sometimes it's hard to see that. as a person needing help, because of course everything is
an emergency.
important. It's an emergency.
Yeah, everything's an emergency. Everything's like, oh my God, and you're like, if you don't calm your hips down, calm your hips down, it's going to get done. And one thing I've learned about people, sometimes if you tell them no, they're going to get the help from somewhere. Because some people you have to tell them no. Because what they'll do is start abusing the relationship and seeing you as a human ATM for their problems. It's like this. You let somebody borrow money. Next thing you know, you see them on social media. I got these new shoes. But wait a minute, I gave you money to help you pay your electric bill. Why are you out here buying new shoes? Then they come back to you. I need some money this month. Your money's in those shoes right there. God did not tell us to be obligated to one time. God did not make us obligated to be abused by people. Now, good people get taken advantage of.
Definitely.
But it shouldn't bleed over into abuse.
And I think some of that hopefully comes with relationship too. Like just thinking from my own experience, like I've had someone take advantage of me wanting to help them, and then found out, months later that they were just asking anyone for use the money for something completely different. So they were just lying.
Okay.
So there's a discernment, I think, in knowing who the person is and being able to, of course, help, but like you said earlier, put boundaries around it too.
Yeah. So I mean, I think clear communication is, it takes strength and it's important, but we're not entitled to anybody helping us.
Yeah.
And again, the people that we're asking for help have their own lives and their own stressors too. Don't call me Rob. No, I'm playing. I'm playing Robin. But the people that, and again, they have their own stressors in lives too. Why should I expect this person to drop everything they have to come help me immediately if it can wait? Now again, it's different if it's like a crazy emergency. Totally different. And that, that's different. I'm talking about just regular stuff. Well, I think the Lazarus thing and the woman at the well are somewhat different because Jesus was waiting for her to come to the well, and she had no idea he was going to be there. Lazarus, they came and got him and said, "Can you come?" And he's like, "I'll be there when I get a chance." I get there. I'm coming. I'm not going to tell you how long. I'm going to come. I'll be there. I got this. Don't worry about it. But stress is real though. And I think from all the comments and the people talking, I think, we probably need to do some stress related classes and stuff. And woosah.
These are very stressful times that we're in.
Woosah. It's in Different World. Relax, relate, release. You watched A Different World, right?
Yeah, I did.
No, you didn't.
No, yes, I did. Are you kidding me? Yes. That was my show.
You had to think about it.
I thought you were talking about something different. For some reason, I thought you were talking about the real world. I was like, huh?
No, I said A Different World.
And that's why I said.
I was about to end this live.
Yes, I did watch that show.
Like, jeez.
I want them to do a remake of that show, but a continuation, like The Next Generation.
They tried it and it didn't work out.
Oh, they did?
I'm talking about when they remember the last season or two, they tried to introduced a new group, like Jada Pick in that group, and it didn't really, but it weren't as good.
I think it was too soon.
People care more about the ones, like if they would have kept focused on the older ones rather than having these huge segments for the younger ones. That young group didn't click like, the original group. And then at the same time too, whenever the couple that's the couple that are the biggest part of the show get married, for some reason it always goes down. Think about it.
I mean, I didn't watch it when it was live. I watched the.
Yeah. But you can tell now watching season when they got married. This next season after was kind of like,
I loved it.
I mean, it was cool, but it wasn't that good. Relatively speaking, it's okay. It was okay. All right, it's 1:51, and I gotta go. Anything else from
Great
y'all?
talk.
Yeah, great talk. So I told y'all Maya was mean, so now y'all saw it.
I am not mean. First of all, I was reading the questions that people were leaving in the comments, so that's a one thing.
He was being mean. So we got don't forget again tonight, recap at 5:30. And you said the sermon's playing at what time?
At 7.
At 7:00.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow got linked at 7:30. No, 7:00.
7.
7, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
8:00 is Bishop's panel at 8:30 on our platforms. Bible study on Wednesday. Thursday is the business panel. Fridays
Mm-hmm.
trivia. My Bible college class starts on Thursday, so we start
that's
that Thursday
fun.
night, and should be pretty cool. Anything else from anybody? If not,
Thanks, Adrian.
if all hearts and minds are clear, we bless you all in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. God bless you all. See y'all later. Bye.
Bye.